Imagine love betrayed. But instead of just heartbreak, it twists someone into, well, a living weapon. A deliberate act of revenge against oneself, almost.
It's a terrifying concept.
Yeah. And today we're diving deep into exactly that. The Japanese legend of the Hashihime of Uji, the Bridge Princess. She's really the ultimate example of this vengeful river spirit archetype.
Absolutely. But what makes her so distinct, I think, is that choice. It's profound. She's not your typical Henri, the vengeful ghost who sort of passively returns after being wronged, like Oiwa.
Right.
No, the Hashihime is a kijo, a living demon. This is a woman who, with full awareness, decided to sacrifice her own humanity, her soul, for the power to enact this boundless revenge.
And that choice, that agency, is really our focus today. We want to explore why she's so different, why her transformation isn't just something that happens to her.
Exactly. It's something she does. And then trace how she evolves, surprisingly, from maybe a benign goddess figure into, well, a modern patron saint of divorce, believe it or not.
Okay, let's set the scene. Where does this core story come from?
The main narrative, it really solidifies in expanded versions of the 13th century epic, The Tale of the Heike. We're in Heian, that's old Kyoto, back in the early 9th century, Emperor Saga's reign.
And the trigger.
A noblewoman, consumed by jealousy because her husband took a second lover. A pretty common situation in the Heian court, unfortunately, but her reaction was anything but common.
She doesn't just accept it, she takes this incredibly radical step.
A pilgrimage, right?
Yeah, a desperate pilgrimage to the Kifun Shrine. Now, this place is significant. It's known for its powerful water deity.
And she doesn't just go once.
No, 7 nights straight. And crucially, she goes at the hour of the ox. That's between 1 and 3 a.m. That really liminal time when the barrier between our world and the spirit world is supposedly at its thinnest.
Okay, so the timing is key. And her prayer, it's not what you'd expect.
It's bone-chilling, truly. She isn't just asking for her rival to die or for her husband to come back.
She asks the kami, the deity of the shrine, for her own damnation. She literally wants to be transformed into a living demon, an oni, so she can have the power to kill them herself.
She's essentially applying for citizenship in hell. It's astounding.
And apparently her request is granted. She receives instructions for this ritual, which itself becomes kind of the archetype for curse rituals in Japan, the Ushi no Tokimari, the ox-hour shrine visit.
But her version is amplified.
Oh, massively. It's not just a curse. She has to physically become the demon. Part of the instruction is this horrifying transformation, and then she has to immerse herself in the Uji River Rapids for 21 straight days and nights.
Let's break down that transformation because the imagery is just unforgettable. It's not subtle.
Not at all. She takes her long hair, twists it up into 5 horns, like grotesque horns.
Horns, okay.
Then she grinds up minerals, cinnabar, vermilion, and paints her entire face and body this demonic blood red color.
Wow. And the crown, that's maybe the most disturbing part.
It really is. She takes an ordinary iron tripod, a kanawa, something used for cooking over a hearth. She turns it upside down, puts it on her head,
Like a crown.
and fixes 3 burning pine torches to the legs. A 4th burning torch. She clenches that between her teeth.
So she takes the symbol of the home, the hearth, this domestic pool, and makes it into this crown of burning demonic horns. It's the absolute perversion of domesticity.
Exactly. She becomes this figure of pure chaos. The texts say she runs south towards the Uji River, and her appearance is so terrifying.
People just die.
Anyone who catches sight of her either collapses on the spot or just dies of fright. Instantly.
Unbelievable. So she reaches the Uji River, the Kawasi Rapids.
And she plunges in.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, 21 days and nights, she stays submerged in those swift currents. The water isn't purifying her.
No, it's forging her.
It's a crucible. It's hardening her hatred into this new demonic form.
And when she finally emerges,
She is the still living Ani. She's the Hashihime. And her revenge isn't just targeted, it's catastrophic.
she doesn't just kill the rival and the husband.
Oh no. She kills the rival, yes. But then she slaughters her former husband's entire family, relatives, servants, everyone. And even then, her rage isn't spent. She becomes this plague on the capital, killing indiscriminately anyone who crosses her path.
So this is really the core point, isn't it? The difference between her, the Kijo, and the typical Onryu.
Precisely. The Henri is often a victim who returns after death, driven by sorrow or injustice. The Hashihime, Her story is defined by her choice, her agency.
She's the architect of her own monstrousness.
Yes. She meticulously follows this incredibly arduous ritual, transforming her suffering into this, well, self-actualized, almost limitless demonic power. And crucially, she does it while still alive. She never had to die to become this monster.
The self-made demon. But, the object of her initial rage, the faithless husband, he almost feels secondary in the end, doesn't he?
He really does. He's almost a symbol, isn't he? He represents the whole system of Heian court polygyny, which inherently created these environments of intense female rivalry and, frankly, emotional devastation.
So her rage kind of transcends the personal and becomes an attack on the system itself, in a way.
You can definitely read it that way. And the chaos she unleashes is so immense, so beyond ordinary crime, that it demands an extraordinary response. The court can't just send soldiers.
They need spiritual power. Which is where, in some versions, Abe no Sime comes in.
Exactly. The legendary master of Onmiju.
Okay, for listeners, Onmiju is that ancient Japanese system of cosmology, divination, esoteric ritual, the way of yin and yang. So what does Sime bring to this fight?
He brings order against chaos. He uses structured ritual, deep knowledge of spiritual forces, things like enchanted paper dolls Kadashiro to try and contain or defeat her. It's this fascinating clash.
Yeah.
Structured, esoteric spiritual order versus raw, self-willed, demonic passion.
It's quite the battle. But wait a second. You called her the Bridge Princess earlier. That sounds, well, not demonic. How did we get from princess to living Ani?
That's where tracing her history gets really interesting. Because the demon we see in the Heike Monogatari wasn't the starting point. It was built on older layers of belief.
Okay, so layer one, phase one.
Phase one. She likely started as a benign local kami, a spirit or goddess who guarded the Uji Bridge. Bridges were, and are, important liminal spaces, points of transition, so having a guardian deity makes sense. Sometimes she was even part of a pair, a bridge prince and princess.
So a protector of connection. Interesting. What changed?
Well, culture shifts. Phase two. By the early Heian period, we see her appearing in poetry, like the famous Koken Wakashu anthology. But here, she's not a guardian. She's become a symbol of loneliness, of waiting all night by the cold bridge for a lover who never shows up. That establishes this deep emotional core of abandonment and neglect.
So the seeds of jealousy and sorrow are sown early on in literature.
Right, and literature continues to shape her. Phase 3. Murasaki Shikibu uses Hashihime as the title for chapter 45 of the Tale of Genji. This really cements her association with female longing and the potential darkness within it.
And Genji also introduced something else important, didn't it?
Yes. Crucially, Genji popularizes the idea of the Ikiri, that's the living ghost, the spirit of a jealous person, usually a woman, that could actually leave her body while she was still alive and attack or possess her rival.
Okay, I see. So once you have the idea that intense emotion, like jealousy, can literally project itself out of a living person.
It's a much smaller step to imagine that rage physically transforming the person herself into a demon. The Ikiri concept paved the way for the full-blown Kijo transformation.
Wow. So it's this fascinating progression. Guardian goddess to lonely lover to literary symbol of longing, incorporates the Ikiri idea, and finally culminates in this terrifying self-made demon. That's quite an evolution.
It really is. And the specific locations involved are just as charged symbolically.
Right. The Uji Bridge itself, you said it's a liminal space, but it's more than that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It was a major strategic point, but also a deeply poetic landmark. A natural stage for dramas of meeting, parting, love, and, well, love curdling into murderous jealousy.
And the other key location, the Kifun Shrine.
Deep in the mountains, associated with this powerful, ancient water god. It has this primordial feel. If you were going to make a desperate, dangerous petition to supernatural forces, maybe for good, maybe for ill, Kifun is the kind of place where you'd feel like you might actually be heard.
The atmosphere matters. And the symbolism of the elements she uses, it feels like everything is inverted.
Completely. Take the river. Normally in Shinto practice, rivers are for misagi, for purification rites.
Yeah.
You wash away impurities, sins.
But for her, the Uji River isn't about washing anything away.
Quite the opposite. It's her forge. It's the crucible where she spends 3 weeks actively hardening her hatred, forging it into this new demonic identity. Purification becomes transformation through rage.
And the bridge, Hashi, the symbol of connection, becomes
the domain of the one who severs all connections. And that devastating pun you mentioned earlier.
Right, Hashi for bridge, but also Hashi meaning beloved or edge or even chopsticks, depending on the kanji. But here, the bridge beloved connection feels intentional.
It feels tragically perfect, doesn't it? The guardian of the beloved bridge becomes the destroyer.
And let's circle back to that Kanawa, the iron tripod. We touched on it, but the symbolism is so potent.
It really is. A simple, everyday cooking tool. Represents the hearth, the home, nourishment, the domestic sphere.
And she literally turns it upside down and sets her head on fire with it.
It's such a violent visual rejection of that domestic role, twisting it into a weapon of demonic power. It symbolizes the utter perversion of her previous life and world by this all-consuming rage.
This whole process, this shift from goddess to demon, it actually fits with the specific folklore theory, doesn't it?
It does, perfectly. It aligns with the concept of ryuraku, developed by the great folklorist Kunio Yanagita. Ryuraku basically means deterioration or degeneration.
How does it apply here?
Yanagita's idea was that sometimes respected deities or local spirits, over time, as society changes and their original function or worship fades, they don't just disappear.
Degrade.
They can degenerate in the popular imagination. Their stories get darker, their attributes become more malevolent. The Hashihime is almost a textbook case. She starts as a respected local kami, a bridge protector.
But then,
as Heiskin court culture becomes obsessed with themes of romance, jealousy, and intrigue, and maybe the direct worship of the bridge spirit wanes, her image shifts. The positive attributes fall away, and the negative potential rooted in that later literary image of the spurned lover takes over. The goddess gets overwritten by the monster, fueled by new cultural anxieties.
That makes so much sense. The monster fills the void left by the forgotten goddess, shaped by the fears of the time, which makes her modern role even more, well, stunning.
It's a complete flip, isn't it? Today, if you go to the Hashihime Shrine, which still exists near the Uji Bridge, her main function is as a power spot for Ankiri.
And Kiri, that's the severing of ties, right? Cutting bonds.
Exactly. People, very often women, go there specifically to pray for help in ending relationships. Divorce, breaking off toxic friendships, even cutting ties with bad habits or bad luck.
So the ultimate destroyer, the demon born of obsessive attachment, is now the patron saint of breaking free.
Precisely. Her destructive power has been, in a way, domesticated and repurposed for personal liberation and self-actualization. You can even buy symbolic scissors or knives at the shrine to represent cutting those unwanted ties.
That is an incredible transformation of meaning, but does the fear linger?
Oh, absolutely. There's still a very strong superstition, even today. Happy couples, and especially newlyweds, are strongly advised not to visit the Hashihime Shrine together, or even cross the Uji Bridge together.
Why? What's the fear?
The fear is that seeing their happiness will provoke the Hashihime's ancient jealousy, and she'll curse their relationship. She still carries that potent charge of dangerous passion.
She really does cast a long shadow, and you still see her popping up in modern culture, too.
Definitely. There's the classic no play Kanawa, which dramatizes her story. More recently, she influences characters like Mizuhashi Parsi in the Two Hoop Project game series, who literally manipulates jealousy. And there's even a visual novel called Hashihime of the Old Booktown that uses her lore to explore themes of obsessive love and delusion.
So she remains this powerful symbol of, well, destructive passion and the consequences of unchecked emotion.
She really does. A touchstone for the terrifying power that can reside within intense feelings.
This has been fascinating. The Hashihime really occupies this unique space in folklore, doesn't she? As you said, she's defined by that choice to become monstrous. Her story holds up this really uncomfortable mirror to Heian society's anxieties about female agency and passion, but it resonates even now.
It forces you to think about different kinds of fear, different kinds of monsters. There's the fear of the victim turned vengeful, the ennui. But then there's the fear of someone who chooses the darkness, who actively seeks out demonic power.
And that leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. We often focus on figures like Lady Oyuara, who suffer terribly and return as ghosts, almost involuntarily shaped by their trauma. They elicit pity mixed with fear.
But the Hashihime, she wanted this. She sought out damnation. She performed the rites. She became the uncontainable destructive force through sheer will.
So what does it tell us about our deepest anxieties, perhaps? That the figure often considered the most terrifying, the most uncontrollable demon isn't the one who was merely wronged, but the one who deliberately seized that destructive power for herself. Something to maybe ponder next time you find yourself crossing an old bridge?